Welcome back to War Thunder Weekly News. This week, the first devlog of 1.87 came out. So hit that subscribe button. Let's see what these rank 7 tanks are all about. So the devlog was about Challenger 2 and rank 7 armored vehicles. So we're getting another ranked tanks while we still only have 3 rank 6 jets. Whatever. The first line of this devlog is something that I think a lot of people are overlooking. As it states, highly anticipated update 1.7 will bring War Thunder even closer to Modern Warfare. It is just around the corner. You will see new rank 7 armored vehicles and many other novelties for aircraft and fleet. Be sure to follow the news. So this can be taken into two ways. Is a lot of people are taking it at that we're really only going to see tanks in this update because, well, the first devlog is about tanks. It's about the new rank of tanks being added, and that the statement here throws off aircraft and fleet as novelties, or at least what they're getting is going to be novelties, so they're not really going to be the focus of the update. Another way to interpret it is that we're going to get stuff for all three, and this is odd wording, but novelties there. I guess these are novel. I don't know. I don't like the wording of it. It seems very dismissive of the other items, which there's a lot of fans of, especially with rank 6 aircraft coming. First rank 7 tank is the Challenger 2 that is of this devlog, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be all that different than the current Challenger 1. The biggest changes seem to be its armor coming in around 500 millimeters of protection against kinetic and 900 against heat, which is great, but it looks like its armor layout is actually very similar to the first Challenger, which means that there's a nice fat lower front plate and driver hatch just wide open to be shot full of APFSDS. And while it does have a new gun, it doesn't sound like this new gun is going to do a whole lot more. It is a L30A1, so I think at most this thing could be probably 10.7. Now, a few interesting pools of thought that you're going to have to go to when thinking about modern vehicles, because this is a modern vehicle. It's developed in the 80s, but I think the British still use it today. And I think they came out with like an upgraded version recently. I think it was the Black Knight. So I can confidently and 100% say that Gaijin does not know the armor values on this vehicle. And there's no way they did know. And even if they did, for whatever bizarre reason, I don't know, they had tea with the Queen and she told them. If Gaijin were to publish this information, I think it would be considered treason by the British government. So these are not correct. These are estimates, guesses, essentially, probably educated ones by smart people. And we know that the ammunition, its penetration is going to come out of the formula that Gaijin is now using. So besides the visual model, nothing about this tank is true, 100% factual. There's no facts in this tank besides the visual model. So it kind of makes you think, if you're allowed to estimate armor thickness on modern vehicles, can we go back in time and estimate other variables on other vehicles? Like, for example, let's say the OI. Can we just estimate its armor? What about the Type 5 Heavy or Type 4 or whatever it's called? The big one that there's actually not much proof that existed. We could just estimate how much armor it had, how much engine power it had. Like, what's the real difference? We're not going off factual information anymore because we got formulas, we got estimations to prove all the things we need. We can, for the most part, make up stuff. Maybe a positive out of this is Gaijin would start accepting wooden mock-up vehicles because you can estimate how much armor they would have based off how much wood is there, and the gun most likely already existed. But War Thunder is heavily marketed off being realistic, true to life. But besides the model, what's realistic about this tank? I don't want to get too negative. I'm not going to be all, I hate everything. And actually, there's some good sides to modern tanks being added. Because you think about it, a lot of people complain about power creep. Well, there's no more power to creep. This is the end of the line with British tanks. I guess they could add the Black Knight edition, which would just be like, I think it had some ERA, I don't remember. Someone in the comments will tell me, that'd be great. But a point that some of the farm mods have been making is that having this giant leap in power can allow the game to be uncompressed. But I wouldn't get my hopes up too high about that stuff. Some other things that Gaijin staff has been saying on the farms is that a certain select of rank 5 premiums would be moving up to rank 6. Probably assume what these are: the T55AM, the Leo A1A1 L44, the XM1. I'd really hope that maybe the M46 Tiger gets moved up to rank 5 with the other Tech Tree M46. And maybe a few other premiums are moved to their correct ranks. I really hope that Object 120 no longer is one-shotting Tiger 2s. But not just premiums are going to be moved, is regular Tech Tree rank 5 vehicles may be moved up to rank 6, and regular tech-free rank 6 vehicles may be moved up to rank 7. My estimation of what's going to be rank 7 for other nations, probably Type 90, probably Leopard 2 A4, maybe even some of the French stuff. Now, the best news I've heard so far was by Sim 1080p, stating that yes, there will be indeed new revisions, and that is to RP costs. As when rank 6 tanks were added, there was a revision to rank 5 RP costs. They got reduced. So it looks like perhaps the rank 6 tanks that you're having some trouble grinding out is going to get a little cheaper. Though that will most likely happen a little bit after rank 7 has become more established, as that's how it went when rank 6 was added. But here's the real point of view that people need to be holding with rank 7. Now that we can have rank 6 premiums, also means we can have rank 6 event vehicles. And you know what's currently a rank 6 vehicle, and something that I wouldn't be surprised staying at rank 6 thanks to the new calculations reducing its penetration power, is the M1 Abrams. So what I'm saying here is Gaijin throws an event where the main prize is an Abram. You do the event, you get the free Abrams. Gaijin, make our memes no longer just dreams. Another downside I forgot to bring up is that premium vehicles, as I said, some of them might be moving up to rank 6, but a good chunk of the rank 5 ones probably going to stay at rank 5. And new rank 6 vehicles, how much are those going to cost? Like the premium ones. Hopefully the $60 rank 5 premiums will be moved up to rank 6, and then rank 6 premiums will only cost $60, and then rank 5 premiums will cost $50. That's the hope. And a tidbit I can't really seem to figure out where to put anywhere else in this video is that it was confirmed by Sim 1080p that neither the Italian or Japanese Navy will be coming with 1.87, which is extremely disappointing because I was very much looking forward to their ships, and it seemed like there was many ships coming, so I guess I have to eat a shoe, or whatever I said I would eat if I was wrong. So something that popped up this Sunday was the well-known Russian streamer Alconafter did a live stream where he talked a lot about things that were going to be coming in the next patch. And in the past, he's actually been right about a few things. So let me summarize exactly what he was saying. The first point he made was how Gaijin wants to implement some new mechanics to the game. He couldn't exactly say what they were, but he did go on to say that I think we can expect active protection systems, a new generation of ERA, and thermal imaging. We already have ERA in the game, so I guess new generation would just be more powerful. But active protection systems and thermal imaging, that's cool. I'd also hope that they add the regenerative steering, as a lot of tanks in game had that feature. And as we go further into the future with these vehicles, more and more so vehicles had regenerative steering, and it's getting to the point where it's kind of ridiculous that a modern day vehicle functions like a pre-World War II tank. And thermal sighting would be real nice because a lot of vehicles had thermal sights, and it could add another level of gameplay. But the interesting part is the active protection systems. That's like stuff to ward off being targeted by lock-on missiles. That there is a bit scary. What kind of monstrous aircraft are we going to start seeing if this is the future that we're heading towards? He goes on to say that the devs are looking to add the Sprute SD, which is like a more modern version of the Object 906, and that apparently they're going to seriously work to reduce the experience of grinding, which I hope means reducing the grinding and not reduce the amount of experience you get from grinding. And that apparently sooner or later there will be a Swedish tree, which I'm expecting a billion different trees in the future. He then answers a question regarding if it's worth waiting for the TU80 UD or UM with the release of the new rank. He says that yeah, it's definitely worth waiting for what exactly they'll introduce. We will live CC. Well, I think that such things are waiting, and the T90 is definitely worth the wait. Also the T90A. And then he goes on to say that there's a probability of seeing many early 2000s tanks, and it's something about Gaijin and Ukrainian tanks, although they said they weren't going to do that in a recent Q&A. And what tree would you put Ukrainian tanks into? Because last I checked, Russia and Ukraine don't exactly get along, so put them in the Russian tree doesn't seem right, but they are refurbished Russian technology for the most part. I don't know, it's a bit of a weird one there. He also asked Gaijin about the recent feature of where a damaged barrel functions like a perfectly fine barrel unless it is completely destroyed, and the answer they gave him was that they are going to be working on it, and that feature was unfortunately formed due to another feature about a repair and damage update. Someone apparently asked him if there's going to be new premiums. Of course there's going to be new premiums. And apparently a very ambiguous question is that the next dev server, the nearest one, will leave a trail of unhappy players. This one makes me think a whole lot. Exactly what do you mean unhappy players? What would exactly they be unhappy about? It's typically when you add new stuff or go further down the power creep line, you annoy a lot of players, but you don't really make them unhappy. Maybe it's a referring to battle rating changes. I don't know. I'm very interested to see what exactly he means by that. After that was a statement about how apparently they're going to add the BMP3 sometime this year, and then a statement about the Leo 2A5 and M1A1, saying that the Leo 2A5 wouldn't get DM53, but it would get DM33 like the Type 90. And then he goes on talking about how Russian APHUBC is the best shell ever created or something. But essentially that was all it. Some pretty interesting stuff, but you gotta take it with a grain of salt because he's just like some streamer, YouTuber dude. I don't really know exactly what he does. Another interesting thing that happened that could speak towards the future of War Thunder is that Sim 1080p posted on his private Twitter page pictures of cockpits of 4 British jets: the Supermarine Swift, the Meteor FN11, the BAE Hawk T1, and the English Electric Lightning. Sim took these pictures at the Boscombe Down Aviation Collection, who actually retweeted his post or replied or something, saying, "We're glad you had a great time. Hopefully some of our cockpits will feature in the next War Thunder game. I remember your last visit a few months prior. Look forward to speaking further with you and your team." And the official War Thunder Twitter replied or retweeted or whatever to Boscombe saying, "Thank you, Boscombe Down Aviation Collection Museum, for helping us in our research with your excellent exhibits." And then in the comments they continue to talk on about exchanging information to work stuff more. So this heavily implies that one of those 4 vehicles will be added to the game, perhaps maybe even all of them. So about these 4 vehicles, the Supermarine Swift is not a supersonic aircraft, but it was armed with 2 30mm Aiden cannons and had some pretty chunky air-to-air missiles. The BAE Hawk T1 was a trainer aircraft, though could be modified to carry some sidewinders, and had a variety of really awesome looking camos. Now I'm a little bit on edge about this one being added because it was a trainer, although I think they could have used it as a fighter or interceptor, but I believe it never really was. The Meteor NF11 was a night fighter version of the Meteor with a fat nose, and it could also carry some pretty chunky air-to-air missiles. Besides that, it had your standard Meteor armament, although it was on the wings, as I assume there was radar in the nose. As for the English Electric Lightning, pretty well-known aircraft in War Thunder community as far as I know. It is a fighter aircraft that can reach Mach 2, armed with 2 Aiden cannons, and of course could carry air-to-air missiles. Also noted on Twitter was that the War Thunder official Twitter page posted an image along with it saying something is coming to War Thunder. What I find kind of funny is a lot of the comments on this post where people thinking, oh, is it World War mode? Is it M1A1? No, man. In the image there are 2 vehicles that are not currently in War Thunder. The airplane is the Martin PBM Mariner, which there are currently 3 in the files, and the ship looks to be the Leningrad class destroyer that has kind of the same layout as all the other Russian destroyers. This is a bit of a bizarre one because it's kind of announced on its own. Nothing was brought up on the main page. But there was a dev server update on February 21st, and Mike 10D did what he's best at. Well, I don't know, maybe he's best at something else, but he's really good at data mining. And he found out something that looked to be tasks for an event. While playing ships between rank 2 to 4, you have to do 25,000 damage, win 10 missions with 50% battle activity, capture 15 points, kill 3 players with torpedoes, and destroy 2 players who are destroyers or cruisers. And apparently this follows the standard 5 tasks per day event format. However, there was not any days in the files. But it wouldn't be too much to assume that the vehicles in this photo are going to be rewards for some sort of naval event. And some other people spotted that in the background of the photo is some sort of city. Some saying it looked like New York, some saying it didn't look like New York. I don't know. I don't have an eye for a city. It could lead to maybe a new map being added. It could also just be some stylistic stuff in the background of a photo. I wouldn't put too much stock into it. The last major story of the week was the penetration changes had finally come. In fact, they came when my last video was rendering, but whatever. Along with them, there's a few other changes. The H-35 and FCM-36 Conehead were yeeted out of the French tree, and the H-39 was moved to reserve. For the Japanese, the Hago was yeeted out of the tree, and the Ki-Ni took its place. The Aigo Ko and the Chi-Ha now have heat by default, and the Type 95 got its 70mm heat shell, although it's really just a copy of the Ho Eyes Heat. The M22, for some weird reason, got moved to the US Heavy Tank line at rank 1. The M3 Lee got moved to rank 2, and the M8 HMC got moved to rank 2 as well. This annoyed a number of people, as the Hago kind of represents Japanese tanks, especially for during the Second World War, as it was their most produced vehicle, and to have it just not be in the tree anymore is a bit insulting to Japanese tank enthusiasts. And despite the Conehead being pretty awful, it's also was a great meme tank that people loved a lot. Gaijin's excuse for removing them is because now, thanks to the unhistorical penetration changes, they suck too much. The very next day, there was another update. The Tiger II 105's stock shell had been removed and replaced with the upgrade shell, making it a slightly better Tiger II, but with only addition of a single crew member, a little bit more explosive filler in the shell, and about 10 millimeters more of penetration. I don't really understand why it would be at 7.0 anymore. I personally think they should bring it down to 6.7 and replace the 7.0 with some other interesting vehicle, or maybe just leave the spot open, I guess. The fuse sensitivity of the 37mm SA-18 and 47mm SA-34 AP-80 rounds was changed because their unhistorical new penetration rates were actually too low to trigger the fuses. There were a few corrections for the Russian 125mm gun and the French 100mm gun. The ZSU 37's BR-167P round got a buff because the inaccurate penetration formula had made it so its upgraded round penetrated less than its stock round. And beyond that was a few rounds had their velocities corrected. Later on Wednesday, it was announced by Sim that the Hago will not be gone for good. And in another post, that statement was rephrased. Regarding the removed Hago FMC 36 and H35, we will have some news to share on them in the future, as well as a possibility of the return/obtainment. The developers are currently hard at work on the current change and will have further updates and news to share in the future. Thank you for your continued feedback. We're still reviewing and passing daily. I'm still kind of not happy about this conclusion, as I said, Hago and the H35 were some pretty famous tanks back in their day, and just yeeting them out of the game like that, I don't find it very fair. And that these changes to the penetration rates are exceedingly annoying, as it's entirely just some random formula that Gaijin decided to work with. I feel it would be equivalent to adding a paper vehicle to the game, as the issue with paper vehicles is once you construct them, you may run into a lot of problems that the blueprints weren't showing, and therefore like an actual finished vehicle made in metal may not be the same that was drawn on that piece of paper. But we're just kind of doing that with penetration rates because, well, we need to guess whatever the Challenger 2's penetration rate is. And some of the excuses I've heard for these penetration rate changes are the worst. One that's been going around is that all nations lie a lot, so we can't trust anything that's written down because it's probably just lies by the nation. But a lot of these guns were tested after the war by the people who won, like the Long 88. Got some pretty good testing. I'm pretty positive that we know what that gun can do. In some Japanese guns, American records state for the most part exactly what the Japanese records state. I think there's some discrepancies with the Type 1 47mm cannon, but the Hago's 37mm cannon has penetration data on both sides, Japanese and the US. I don't understand why, if the Japanese were lying to boast their penetration numbers, the US would just go along with it after the war. Like, what kind of logic or reason is that? And upon that, if they're lying about the penetration, how do we know they're not lying about also the velocity of the shells? And ergo, the formula would be useless because, well, velocities are also wrong, so let's just make those up because we got another formula for that. I don't want to get too angry about it, and really it's not the biggest deal in the game. I think losing a few tanks because of it is a bit more of a big deal. I think the biggest issue with it is that Gaijin hasn't issued any battle rating changes. And I understand Gaijin's excuse that they want to see how the vehicles perform so they can make more accurate judgments, but some vehicles you should just inherently have the idea, yeah, that should be up tiered. Like the Lorraine 40T being able to pen almost 300mm of penetration with a solid shot shell. Or the IS-7 being able to one-shot Doom Turtles from the front and not through any cupola, frontal armor. And don't get me even started on the damn 4.7 French AA that can pen over 90mm of armor with its AP rounds. And it's not even like some special top tier modifications you have to get. It's the stock rounds do it. Personally, I'm hoping that these battle rating changes come out next week. Hopefully, maybe even while this video is rendering. I have a bad feeling that they're not going to do it till after the next patch, so they can also adjust battle ratings of the new vehicles, which I think if we have to wait that long, well, I'm going to be playing IS-7 and French 4.7 and 7.0 because those are the club tiers. And as a final story, this is more speculation, kind of a shifty leak. Someone showed me this image. Doing some research, I found what it is: a paveway laser guided bomb. And this laser guided bomb appeared on many vehicles. One of the most well known was probably the Phantom 2. I want to say this image is fake. I want to say that. It just, somehow about it seems a little off. A nice attention to the detail though is how in the background you can see the trees are kind of tinted blue. That's actually what happens under really cloudy weather in game. So if it's a fake, that's a nice attention to detail. But the image is really zoomed in and obviously cropped, and there's a bunch of jaggies on the side of the paveway. I tried to see if I could fake it myself because the image didn't appear on Google Images, but other CG paveways did. I didn't really get nearly as good as I wanted to, but I could have put a bit more effort into it. So I'm just going to say personally, I have a feeling it's fake, but hey, maybe it's real. God knows what that could mean. The Russian dude earlier in this video was talking about active protection systems. Perhaps this is kind of the monstrous stuff that we're going to have to start facing in tanks, and why active protection systems are going to be necessary. Though laser guided bomb, I don't know how you dodge that. But once again, probably fake. You never know. Anyways, thanks for watching. If any of you comments or concerns, hit me up down below or on my Discord. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, don't hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. I make news videos every Sunday. I like to stream on Saturdays, and I make whatever else I can throughout the week. So hit that bell icon to be notified anytime I upload anything. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.